Alright, what's up guys? I just wanted to make a quick video to help you guys prepare for the test. The biggest piece of advice I could say is to go through this list that we gave you on the website and just really know like what each one of these things does. And that's why I'm going to be showing this video, like all the little quirks of the things. Alright, so let's get started. So first we have print. And don't worry that I'm not using PyCharm, it's same thing. So print. Alright, well, what does print do? Well, let's just go back to the very, very basics actually. And talk about like what even is anything in Python. I mentioned these in my previous videos too because I think this concept's really important. So Python's a programming language, right? I got stuff in this file, and I don't know what that is, and it's gonna run in this console when I run this file here. So if I type garbage, we know that that's not gonna work, right? It's gotta fall under the thing. But if I type some things just work on their own. So if I just type like a 5, like 5 can work. It doesn't do anything, but because we see nothing returned here, it's just ended. We can also put strings in here, that's fine, and just sits there. But if we want to actually do anything with these, what are called literals, we have to put them into functions and stuff, right? So if you say print 5, say. This is going to print out the string 5, and it's right there. You guys know this, like you've done this a million times, but I'm just breaking out every single one. So other things with print statements is you can put multiple arguments in there, and it's going to separate them by spaces. So think about what this is going to print out, right? It's going to be 580 separated by spaces, and basically I like to kind of think of this comma as like being replaced with like plus and then a space and then a plus. Because you could just copy and paste that right in there, and it would do the same thing, right? And if I run that, yeah, same thing. So basically just replacing that comma with 5 plus space plus. But that's not really what's happening. Really what's happening is when they designed the print function, they said, oh, well, if they pass in multiple arguments, what are they trying to do? Well, they're probably just wanting to print multiple things. So we could just, print out each one and put a space in between. We can also put nothing in the print statement, just a print, empty print. And what's that going to do? Well, I believe it just prints a blank line. So actually, if we do multiple of these, let's see what this does. Yeah, multiple blank lines. Because I could put every other one of these, like one of these or something, and then I'll show you that. Oh, that's not going to work, right? Crap. Hold up. Sorry. Try not to waste too much of your time. Yeah, see, it's going to print a blank line. I don't know if you have to know that or not. But why did I start out this video by just typing 5 in here? What this is doing, so if I print 5, because I mean you don't have to just print strings, right? You can print numbers too. See if I print 5, it prints out 5, and basically what 5 is it's the result of some kind of expression that we're passing into this function here. It's actually technically a literal because it's just literally 5. Like there's nothing else you could do. But also if we put print the input of something. Let's not just let's just not put any little things here because we'll get to that. Yeah, this is saying print what input returns. So if I run this, and it's going to wait for me to put something in, so I'm going to put in a 4. And so basically what happened here is, because see, I typed in 4 and it printed out 4 right there. And what happened is it basically waited for me to type something in, and then it kind of, this isn't really what happens, but I like to think of it as it replaced my input statement with literally just 4, right? Because let me think of a better example. So what I mean by this is, say we had a function in our file just called hi, and all it does is just return 5. So when we call hi like this, like in our file, if we just call hi right here, this is going to basically just transform into a 5. Not really, but that's just the way I think of it in my head. So when we print out hi, it's going to turn into a 5, and that's why if I run this, you'll see a 5 here. Now, if I just ran this file like this, like in this file I'm defining hi, and then I just ran it. I'm not going to get anything actually because I didn't print anything, right? But if I actually print out what, or the reason that doesn't happen because literally this is just like putting a 5 there, right? Because that's not going to do anything. But similarly, if I print the 5, I can do that. Now they'll print out there. Or I could print what hi returns, which is 5, and it's basically printing 5 right there. I'm pointing to my screen, think you can see my pointing, but that's not real. All right, I may have thoroughly exhausted one more thing. If hi returns none, say, I can say, print what hi returns. What is this going to return? It's going to return none, right? Because if I run this, see, none. I always like to prove to you that I'm not lying to you. So, none. Basically, this is, just the same thing. Replacing this with none, right? And where you usually see this, though, is when there's nothing. And if you have no return statement, well, you can't have nothing in here, so I'm just going to, put a 5. So def hi just says 5. Fine. Okay, so if I print hi, hopefully I don't get an error. Yeah, none. So basically what's happening here is it's saying, okay, I'm going to print what hi returns. Well, I don't see any return statements, so that's the same as returning none, right? So I'm just going to put another, none right there. Boom. And there we go, none. All right, now I think I've thoroughly exhausted print out of all of you. So next we're going to be talking about input. And input is how we get data into our program. So if we, tell me what's wrong here with what I'm doing. All right, so if I just say, okay, input, let's see, enter your number, and then I'm going to put a little, I usually put a little new line in the space because then it looks really nice. All right, so I'm going to, okay, enter your number, 5. Okay, that's cool. Oh, but what happened to it? Where'd it go? Well, yeah, just same as earlier, just replace this with 5, just sitting there, doing nothing. So we, similarly, as we can say, x equals 5, we can say x equals the return of the input, right? Which is what we typed in, right? So then we can just, print it out. So I'm going to type in a bunch of stuff, and there we go. And so, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so you probably use this in your homeworks, but input is going to take some value from the user, and we're storing it in X, and then we're printing it out. And if we just put empty, the thing with the arguments and inputs, if we just put nothing, it's just going to give us nothing. But that doesn't look really nice, right? So if you want to give them some kind of a prompt, it's going to give them a prompt before they enter it in, and it's going to be exactly what you type in. So this is kind of bad. If you just say oh crap, if you just say enter a number, boy, and then what is going on? Yeah, because then okay, 56. Oh, what boy 50? What's going on? That's why usually it's good to put a colon and a space and something. And usually on tests, actually, you would lose a point if you don't put a little space in a colon. So be careful with that. And the final thing is tell me what's wrong with this. So say I'm getting a number from them, and I'm gonna put I like to put a new line or like that. Yes. What's wrong with this? I'm going to enter a number, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out x and then plus 7 or something. So why isn't this going to work? Well, let's try it out. See what the error says. Well, so enter a number. So 3. So let's do that. And 3 plus 7. What's that? 10, right? But it has to be an int, not a str, because you can't say 3 plus 7, because that doesn't work. And that's my key point here, is when you get an input, no matter what they enter, no matter if it's a number or if they enter a zebra or something, it's going to put it all into a string, because they want you to deal with casting it into an integer or something later. So the way to do that, of course, just do int with 3. We'll do this later probably, but yeah. So x, int x. That won't always be 3. That's hard coding, right? So I'm going to put in a 3. Oh yeah, 10. There we go. Now, I can't think of anything else with input. If you do, go ahead and just throw it in the comments. Next thing up is int. And what is this doing? Well, we just use this. It takes a string or a so it says what it's doing when it's given a string or a float and when it creates an error. Okay, so let's try to figure that out. So what if we just do int 5? Well, 5 is already an int, right? That's going to work. I'm going to print this. I'm actually going to store this. Let's be fancy. Store it in x and then print out x. There we go. So all right, so that worked fine. We can also put in a the lights where I am just flickered. That was creepy. I'm actually in the lab room that you guys do. It's kind of weird. That's fine because you can turn an int in a string into 5. The thing you cannot do is do an int from a float. So if you do a decimal, it's going to get a value error because you say you cannot. I don't know how to make decimals from from strings, right? And I guess I could go over strings again later, but this is the same. Single quotes doesn't matter, triple quotes, whatever. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You cannot put decimals in int. The way you have to do this is you have to first float it, because you can easily doing like int of like 5.6. That's totally fine. And what it will always do is it will always round down. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so in order to do, if we have like some kind of like 5.6 like this, we have to, why do the lights keep flickering? It's creepy. We have to put it into a float first so that we can put it directly in there. Yo guys, Olsen at night is like super creepy. Don't come here at night. So what was I saying? Yeah, so the other caveat with this is if you're getting an input, so if you say, like enter a number, and then I like to do this, and then, so why is this not going to work? No matter what I put in, this will not work, right? Actually, it will work sometimes. So if I enter like 5, that's going to work, because, that's fine. You can put 5 as a string in, because remember, input is always a string. So if I put in like 5.5, that doesn't work. And obviously, if I put in pizza, that doesn't work either. But yeah, that's not as important. So yeah, that's the main point with int is you can do the int of, let's see, numbers. You can do the int of decimals. You can do the int of numbers inside of strings, but you cannot do decimals in strings. Oh, and the last thing is, what is this going to do? What do you think? Well, it's going to be 9, because it always rounds down. It does not care if it's 5. It does not care if it's 9. Always rounds down. So that's something really important to think about too. Because this, well, 9.999 forever. Actually, if you look in math, that's technically 10, but that's a whole separate thing. Yeah. So this. Oh, it just rounded up. Oh, that's probably some kind of rounding thing. Don't worry about that. One of the quirks of Python. But yeah, it always rounds down. Think about it that way. You will never be tested on when it just flips to 10 like that. All right, so the next sort of casting spell we can do is str, which takes any kind of thing and makes it into a string, right? So, well, I guess not anything, but let's see. So str, if I already have a string, that's fine, right? It's going to work. But what if I have a number? So like an int, 7. That works fine. And basically this is turning 7 into 7. Like the green, like in quotes 7. Well, when you print, it doesn't show the quotes. That's why it's just printing 7 right there, right? So actually we can, if you want to check, because like here you can't really tell like if it's going to be like 7 or 7 in quotes. You can actually print out the type. We might have done this before, I can't remember, but you can just print out the type of x, and then this will show me str. Yeah, and if I had just made x like 7.7, it will show me it's a float, I believe. Yep, there we go, float. And yeah. So let's try. It says you need to know what str does when given an integer or a float. So let's try both of those. So let's say str of 7. And we already tried this, but I'm just going to do it again for fun. So this will print out 7, right? That's fine. It's a string 7. And then if we print out 7.7, I believe it will be the string 7.7. Yep, there we go, 7.7. And remember, I'm just kind of 7.7. That's basically what this is now, where x is. It just basically replaces it. Oh, that's not really what happens, but I just leave it that way. All right. So next up, we have float, the next casting spell we can use. So we need to know what it does given a string, an integer. Okay, cool. So, again, if you just, put in a float already, that's fine. And this is not a string, remember now. This is, if we do the type, this is going to be a float, right? Kind of, yeah, there you go, float. And then, so we can also, let's see, what if we give an int? What if you give an int? So float of 3. What do you think this will print out? We'll print out 3.0, 3.0 in quotes. Oh, it's going to be 3.0, just because, I guess, yeah, when you have ints, it's not going to have like a decimal point, but floats have decimal points. That's why it's just, turning into 3.0. And then, and the type is different too, because, hold on. let's see if I compare the types right here. I can say, is it the same as like a decimal? Yeah, that's true, right? And then if I say, oh, is it the same as just 3 without a decimal point? No, that's not, because one's an int and one's a float. All right, I got a little off track. So what are we doing? We're putting in a string and an integer. All right, so float of 3 just turns into 3.0, and then float of 3, what will that do? There we go. Oh, crap. Print x here. There we go. All right, so if we float an int here, just like that, it's kind of like just doing this, right? It's going to give us 3.0, just like that. All right, and then what if we put a decimal in here, 3.3? Well, same as just putting 3.3 there. So just like 3.3, that's totally fine. So I guess the difference, the big difference in things you gotta look at, floats and ints, is float, it doesn't care what's in the thing. It like this is fine, and this is fine. Just garbage isn't fine. I believe we'll get in there. Yeah, no, can't do that. But it doesn't care if it's an int or a float. If you're doing float, but if you're doing int, you have to do a number, because whoops. What is going on? Yeah, that will work. But if I do a decimal, I'm trying to repeat myself too many times here, but yeah, also there's my. So float's fine with pretty much anything, just turns into decimal, and then int will get mad at you if you put a float in if you put a float string in there. If you put a float, that's fine. And then next up, yeah, I guess that's kind of it with float. So len, all right, len. What does len do? What do you think about len? Length, right? All right, so let's make next. Make a string. Make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So what will be the len of x? Well, looks like it's 10. And this isn't on this test, but as you'll learn soon, with lists, length works with other things too. So if we do length of a list, that will give us 5 elements in our list. But I think if you just do like the length of an int, it doesn't make any sense. So no, they'll do that. But yeah, mainly just on this test, length is going to be with strings. And usually when you would use that is if you were like looping through the string. I don't know if this is going to be on this test, but if you were like for I in range up until the length of x, right? And I can print x. Have you guys learned this yet? Like indexing a string. Let's see. Uh-oh, I forgot my colon. There we go. Yeah, and then it's going to print out each character in X, because it's saying for each, I don't know if you guys, have you learned range yet? Where is it? Oh, looks like we haven't learned loops yet. Okay, don't worry about that. My bad. So that's this length. Just returning the length of a string, which in this case is 4. There we go, 4. That's all you need to know. All right. So and then type. Oh, I already just did this, but yeah, we have strings. We have type of x. It'll show you that it's class str because they're strings. I'll show you some other things too. We can put this in as a list, and then see, this is going to say it's a list, class list. Ah, crap. Yeah, and then what are some other things? See, I'm gonna get tuple. Probably won't use these in this class, but class tuple. Yeah, right there. Maybe tuple. I don't know. Ooh, what's another one? I can make a float, right? We could do this all day, but yeah, float. That's basically what it does. And you can compare things too, like say like y is 7. I can say, does the type of x equal the type of y? And then nope, false, because one's a float and one's an int. All right, so next up we have our operators. We have minus, plus, times, divide, modulus, the double slash, what's that called? The exponent. Yeah, so let's go through each one of these. So, and here's a neat little table I found just by Googling one of the operators. I couldn't remember what it was called. So this is actually floor division, and this will show you like each one of these things. So yeah, look this stuff kind of up. So look this kind of stuff up. Alright, so let's do the basics, I guess, of it. So I'm just gonna be printing out an x here, and I'm just going to say x is 3 plus 7. So what's that gonna be? Let's print out x and the type of x, so we know how these types are interacting. Right. So we have a 10, and it's int. Okay, nice. And down. I hope you guys can see this like down here. Yeah, I can make it like bigger, I guess. There we go. So what if I do 3 plus 7.8? Well, I'm gonna make it smaller because that's weird. Well, this is gonna be a float, right? Because you can't make an int out of that. And I can, subtract things. It'll be the same deal. It's gonna be, you know this basic math. And then what are some other ones? We did add. Yeah, you can multiply. If you do 2 ints times 2 ints, you always get an int. So that's something. But if you put what if we put that kind of thing in there? What's that gonna do? Oh, also gonna be a float, right? And then we got dividing. So, this is a tricky one. What data type is this? So in some languages, 3/2 turns into just 1, and it's just an int, right? But in Python just says, okay, well, I'm taking 3, I'm dividing 2, I'm gonna have to make a decimal. So it's one of the only languages that does that, I guess. Or I'm not actually showing that, but so this is gonna actually turn to a float, even though we have 2 ints and no floats in here. It's gonna turn into a float, so be careful with that. And so. And obviously, if I, put some floats in here, that'd also be a float. So basically, I guess using divide, it's always going to be a float. Even if it's like, well, what if it's even? Let's see what happens. Oh, still a float, always a float. All right, so just whenever you use divide, it's going to be a float. But most languages, if you do like 3/2, it's going to actually use this kind of thing, which is saying like, okay, I want you to divide, but then just cast it into an int, I guess, because you're going to just drop any kind of decimal you have. So it's going to be 1, right? So what if we have like 10 divided by 8? Ooh, what's going on? My computer's being weird. Okay, so let's say 10 divided by 8. So normally that outputs 1.25, but if we make it double slash, that's going to say, okay, well, 8 only goes into 10 once, so it's going to be 1. Now if actually we flip these, we'll say, how many times does 8 go into 10? I know usually it's going to be 0.8, right? But this is going to say, oh, it goes into it 0 times because I'm going to truncate any kind of decimal that I have. So basically, I guess the way when we can think of the double slash is the normal, just slash like that, but we're going to cast it as an int after we do that. So there we go, same deal, 0. And it's going to be, well, I guess, well, the output of this is going to be an int. What is, if I do 3//4, I believe the output of double slash, so the output of double slash, I guess, will always be an int, but the output of a single slash will always be double. That's pretty easy to remember. If I'm wrong on that, tell me in the comments. So next we have the modulus. Modulus is going to tell you the remainder of stuff. So what is the remainder of 3 divided by 4? Well, these are kind of tricky sometimes. You got to think about them. So this actually be a 3, right? And this is always going to be an int because you can't have a decimal. Or actually, if I put decimals in here, just kidding, it's going to be a float. Yeah. So there we go. So you want to be a little careful with these. So if I say 5 modulo 10, what do you think that's going to be? Well, it's going to be 5 because we divide 5 by 10. Well, we can't do it any time, so the leftover is 5. So then if we swap these around, what's this going to be? 10 modulo 5. Well, 5 goes into 10 easily, right? Also pointing my screen again. I know you guys can't see that. So yeah, it goes to 0. So just be a little careful with those. I guess in general, if the numerator of a modulus is less than the denominator, it's just going to be the numerator, right? So it's going to be like 3. So even if this is like humongous, change to anything, 333, that's still going to be 333. That is not the case if I flip them around. If I have a big thing here, and then I say modulo 2, well, what's the highest value that a modulus of 2 can be, right? It's going to be like 1, I think. Yeah, so it's either 0 or 1. I can add on a 3 here. That's going to be 1 left over, right? So just careful with those. But basically, it's finding the remainder of 2 numbers. And it looks like And it looks like the output can be both an int or a float, whatever it decides to be. So this is going to be, if they're both ints, then they're going to be an int. If I make the denominator a float, that's going to be float. One weird thing, if I make it like 33 and then like modulo 0.3, I think this will just be an int. Oh, also a float. Okay, so if I guess if any, ooh, did I already do this? 33. Yeah, so if you put a float in there, it's going to make it a float, looks like, even if it goes evenly. So if I go like 10.0 modulus 5, that's going to be a float. Yep. So if you put a float in there, it turns into a float. Hopefully I'm not going too slow. How much time am I? 26 minutes. My goodness. Okay. I'm hoping you guys are speeding me up. If you don't know how to do that, you should look that up because it's a fun way to watch YouTube. So looking at type 4/2, that's going to be a float, right? Because the dividing is always going to make it float. And then plus works on strings, but minus does not. Oh yeah, because we've only done numbers so far, right? So I was hoping we'd get to this at some point. Parent. If I have 3 plus 3, what does this do? So that's gonna output 33. And there's an important distinction here. Yeah, and basically what this does, this is concatenating stuff. So I can say like I like and then pizza, and then notice that I slipped in a little space right here, so it's gonna space them out for me. So yeah, it's gonna just concatenate them all together. And the interesting thing about this that you don't want to forget is if I'm making this from an x, one thing people forget about. So this will work. So if I do this will put I like pizza. But if I decide to make this a comma to make this like separated by spaces, will this work? And if not, why? Well, you're gonna get this kind of thing. Because you're saying x is equal to, okay, a string separated by a comma. Well, that's going to make it into a tuple, looks like. If you see tuples in this class, it usually means something went wrong. We might do it in some assignment, I'm not sure. But yeah, so you can only use the comments within the print statement, because remember, these are different arguments of the print statement. So if I want to do like this, that's fine. And I can also, I'm just going to show you all the operators right here. This will actually calculate them, right, because they use strings. One thing you cannot do is this, because you can't do a string plus a number. That doesn't make sense. So you can separate these by commas. This is kind of interesting. So now we have a string 4, and then a comma, and then 4 plus 3. Well, basically you could think of this, this is going to be replaced by like a 7, right? So it's going to be 4 and then a 7, separated by a space with that comma. So there we go. So not too tricky, just gotta be a little careful. And then yeah, we can't subtract strings. That doesn't make sense, right? I like minus pizza. No, that doesn't work. And then times. Oh yeah, times work out a string. This is kind of fun. I like to do this. I say like print pizza times 500. And I'll put a little space between each one. Oh my gosh, look at all that pizza. So, yeah, you can't like do an exponent. Can you? No, can't do that. You can't like divide a string by 500. That's no good. But yeah, you can multiply, because basically that's saying I want you to do pizza plus pizza plus pizza plus pizza up until 500. And that I guess technically you could call it like they're overloading the symbol, but I'm not super sure on that. Don't quote me in there. So now we did that, and then I'll pause this. Yes, it says in the list that times can work with a string and an integer, but not 2 strings. So what that's saying is this works. Pizza times 500, that's fine. But if I say pizza times yay, that doesn't that doesn't make any sense, right? I can do 2 numbers times each other. Obviously, that just calculates the crap. What is going on? Yeah, that's fine. It's going to calculate the number, but you just can't multiply 2 strings. Basically, the things you can do with strings is you can add them, and you can multiply them by a number, and you can separate them by commas if it's in a print statement, and I think that's kind of it.